Yeah, that's certainly how Celtic fans seem to be feeling after Jaylen Brown dealt last week to the Philadelphia 76ers. Well, we're at hump day. This trade is now a week old, right? Since the first time we heard about it. Wasn't that late? Not late, but Wednesday night of last week when that thing broke, because
yes,
we came in at the end of last week on that Thursday. We talked about it before breaking for the holiday weekend and tried to digest it a little bit. I've yet to make too much sense of it. Brad Stevens has given his reasoning, which you can see the thinking behind that as long as it plays out in the future and you're able to reset the books now, get them right, and get the next guy in here with Jason Tatum. The only question, my only hope, is that he is as good as Jaylen Brown has been for the last 10 seasons.
Yeah. I mean, everybody could go through and pick apart anybody's game, and certainly Jaylen Brown wasn't perfect, but he was pretty good, and they're going to have to go some to fill that void. Now, whether they can do it with superior depth is the question, because that seems to be the approach that Brad Stevens has decided that he needs to take. And I get it from the perspective of the fact that I have always said that I've always believed that there were almost too many similarities between what Brown and Tatum do, in the fact that did make it pretty much impossible or very difficult for them to play off each other.
Yep.
Because they're both kind of the finishing elements of those plays, also the starting parts of those plays typically. And so whether or not that was an ideal fit, and that's why the Giannis trade appealed to me, and I still don't know how close they got to getting him. I don't know if I believe that it was because of Baylor Scheierman and Ugo Gonzalez.
Yeah, the hold up there.
But who's we're going to play in the summer league, by the way. Ugo. I don't know about that, but yeah, this wasn't the outcome that I don't think anybody anticipated.
Certainly not. No, we thought we'd be getting a lot more if Jaylen Brown was leaving town than Paul George and a couple of first-round picks, but that's what the Celtics are left to deal with for next season. We'll see all the moves that they can make and what comes of it from there. But so we've heard from Jaylen Brown since he got traded away. He actually had a pop-up event for 741 Company yesterday in Boston. He said he's going to continue being faithful to the city of Boston. Any sort of business deals or things that he had planned for the future, he's still going to go on there because he's very appreciative of the ties that he's made everywhere off the court within the city. He also hopped on the chat, as we just heard, or the stream, I should say, as we just heard from him right there, sharing his wisdom about the deal or trying to get his mind straight on how exactly it went down. We have not heard yet from Jason Tatum until I've got a soundbite from him to play right now. He was at some sort of book signing, children's book event yesterday in the city of Boston. That's basically the context I have for it. The video was him on a stage. There was like a moderator and MC next to him asking him questions, and behind him on a big screen was a bunch of children's books and the name of a publisher, and it looked like some event for a book that he had coming out. But, of course, he was asked about the trade that went down, and here is, I don't know, what you can think whatever you want. I found it to be kind of a corporate answer from JT. Let's have a listen. Not the best quality of audio there, as it was Tatum talking on a microphone and someone recording it on their phone, but you heard at the end there, makes you appreciate the times that we had winning a championship with the city together.
I could imagine Jaylen Brown saying the exact same things where the roles reversed.
And they kind of sound like a just standard PR statement that you put out there?
Yeah. I mean, you know, you're not going to beat him over the head, you know, in terms of Tatum over Brown's head, certainly. But Brown is the one who doesn't have to. I mean, Tatum's the one who doesn't have to
can just sit
change
back
anything.
And,
You just wait and see what they bring forward to him. But yeah. I mean, it's totally predictable, and probably I'd do the same thing if I was in that situation. I'm not going to say anything to rile anybody's feathers. I've got no need to.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still getting paid, and I'm still where I am, and you know, who knows how good a team they're going to be. They picked second in the Eastern Conference, according to the odds makers at this point, behind the Knicks, even with the changes. And I don't know if that's any assumption on George's availability or not, but it's going to be pretty wide open in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, it's going to be a new look next year. That is for certain. I don't know. It seems like the Celtics, though, this is kind of baked in with who they're going into next season with, and It's almost like, I said this yesterday when we were, I think, talking with John Corrales. It just kind of came to me that at this time last year, I was certainly advocating for them to take the step back, use Tatum's injury as the excuse to kind of reset things for the future. They're doing that now. I just didn't expect that reset to be Jaylen Brown going out of town.
That's the whole thing. It was pretty much anybody but Jaylen Brown last year in terms of who you're going to get rid of, because we had no reason to believe that there were all these negative things going on about Jaylen Brown and his analytics. So we just knew he was coming off a season when he set career records for points, rebounds, and assists per game, and led what we all thought was an undermanned Celtics team to 56 wins, albeit a disappointing playoff finish. But it was a playoff finish that back in the previous October you would have taken, I think,
just being there, right?
Right,
yeah.
Just making it, getting out of the play-in round, but things changed, and who knows? He's now going to the 76ers. He doesn't have to be, the one. Matter of fact, he won't be the one. He'll be the 2 or 3.
I want to see how that works out, because all the talk has been about getting Jaylen Brown to his team, to a place that he can lead, and now he's behind not just one guy, the face of the organization for the last 10 years, but also the guy who's actually their best player now, Tyrese Maxey.
Now, because he plays more often, and that's Tyrese Maxey, let alone, not to mention Edgecombe, who was a prolific star rookie last year and figures to play a prominent role. Maybe that takes a little pressure off Jaylen Brown. He's not going to feel the need, and I think he's probably going to see. He's not a dumb guy. He went to Cal. He's was a former, if not current, vice president of the Players Association. I mean, he may be the smartest guy in a lot of rooms, and he's going to have to figure out his role, a new role, and how that works. And I think a lot of it, again, we talk about the Celtics being dependent on Paul George's availability to some degree, at least right now. Philadelphia is always dependent on Embiid's.
Yep.
Because it was, I mean, if you remember.
We saw that up close and personal in the playoffs.
In the games, 5 and, how many did they play? 7? 6?
4 and 5, because it only took 5.
That's right.
Oh, no. 6 and 7. 5, 6, 7, because they blew the 3-1 lead.
Because it was 3-1 Celtics, indeed. But, and then suddenly Embiid comes back and they have no way to guard him, basically. So we'll see how Brown adjusts to his new role and how Tatum adjusts to his new role.
Yeah. He will certainly have a bit more to carry in the weight department next year when it comes to the Boston Celtics and how far they go. Jaylen Brown took him to 56 wins last year. We'll see what Jason Tatum does in the 26-27 season. We're getting the Drive at 5 underway here. We got Dan Shaughnessy checking in with us at the bottom of the hour, coming up in about 13 minutes' time. Right now, we have to take a time out because coming up next, it's Drive On, your chance to win all kinds of great prizes. We get a $10 gift card to Heroes, 2 tickets of Bangor Mall movie passes, Interior Express Detail to Dean's Detailing, and a pair of UMaine football season tickets for the 2026 season. All you have to do is answer 4 questions. We always have a theme. Today is Celtics trades throughout team history. 992-9029. If you want a chance to win all those prizes, Drive On comes up next. Okay, and Drive On, as we had last week with Mike from Milford walking away after taking the first 3 legs of the competition. A couple of callers locked in on the Heroes hotline. We'll get to them in just a second. First, I'll tell you that the Drive is brought to you by Next Home Experience, the market leader. Get loot and get sold with Next Home Experience, and by Northeast Driving School, the leader in driver training for 57 years. Register today for driver's ed courses at Greater Bangor's #1 driving school. Call 942-1769 or register at northeastdrivingschool.com. We got to go quick here because we got Dan Shaughnessy coming up in about 8 minutes' time on the show. So let's head over to line 1. Our first contestant today, Stovepipe from Mount Desert. How's it going, Stovepipe? Oh, no. Who isn't with us? Based on that, I'm guessing it's Stovepipe because he didn't answer me. Well, we say goodbye to Stovepipe. Bruce and Brewer, I hope you're still here.
Absolutely.
Bruce, look at that. Just like that, the game is yours.
I see that.
Well.
Wow.
Didn't have to wait too long to take over here.
Pressure's on now.
Things are turning up, Bruce. So yeah, pressure's on. Might be for Ernie Clark unless we get another call for a potential lifeline.
That's not good.
All right, Bruce, here we go. I told you that the theme today is Celtic trades. And for question number 1, we go back to that KG Paul Pierce trade with the Nets. Who was the player that ultimately went number 1 in Jason Tatum's draft? The pick that was originally owned by the Celtics before Danny traded back for the number 3 pick. Was it Markelle Fultz, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, or Colin Sexton? You're on the clock. You do have Ernie as a lifeline should you need him. This is question 1. You need him. We're calling him. All right. He's dialing you up, Ernie. He's desperate off the bat. I saw a nod out of the corner of my eye when I started reading names, so I feel that there's confidence behind this.
Hello, this is Markelle Fultz speaking. Former number 1 draft pick of what, the 2016?
17? Yeah. 17. He says that with some confidence, Bruce. You want to take it?
Yes.
All right. Let's take it. Not even going to bother locking in that answer because it is the correct one. Markelle Fultz, selected first overall by the Philadelphia 76ers. And yeah, Jason Tatum, probably a better pick to go with there at number 3. Lonzo Ball
was Danny Ainge, right?
Number 2. Yep.
Danny Ainge was still the GM at that point.
Danny Ainge still swinging those deals. So, Bruce, you have yourself a $10 gift card to Heroes, but now you're marching on without the benefit of a lifeline on your own. You want to take that Heroes gift card and walk away, or do you want to drive on?
Let's drive on. What the heck?
That's what I like to hear. Question number 2, we're sticking with that famous trade, the KG Pierce Brooklyn swap. The Celtics received 5 players in return, including this guy who played 69 games for them the next year, but he's better known for his 72-day marriage to Kim Kardashian in 2011. Is that Chris Joseph, Marshawn Brooks, Chris Humphries, or Keith Boggins? You're back on the clock.
Chris Humphries.
Chris Humphries, you had it this time. You want to lock that in?
Yes.
Had the name on the tip of his tongue. Let me get that clock out of there. There you go. 2 for 2, Bruce.
You must read the gossip sheets, huh?
That's what it is.
That's exactly what it is. Pretty close ratio there between 69 games played, 72-day marriage to Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, well, that probably is about right.
So now, Bruce, you add 2 movie passes from Bangor Mall Cinemas to that $10 gift card to Heroes. You want to take that and walk, or you want to keep on driving?
Let's drive.
I like it. He's got the itch now. Driving on to question number 3. We're going back to 1980 for this one. Red Auerbach fleeced this franchise that year by sending 2 first-round picks for Robert Parrish and the number 3 overall pick, who Red used on Kevin McHale. Was it Portland, Golden State, Denver, or the LA Clippers that Red fleeced out of those 2 future Hall of Famers?
Could you just give me those teams one more time?
Portland, Golden State, Denver, or the Clippers?
Yeah. I'm going to take the Clippers on a guess.
Locking in the Clippers. On a guess. Bruce, I hate to do it to you. You were in the right state, but it was Golden State.
Oh, God.
Yep.
Oh, well.
Just a little farther north. But hey, you had a good run there. You made it to the 3rd leg, got a couple right. No shame in the effort today, and you get a chance to call back in next week for double the prizes.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you,
Take
Bruce.
care now.
Ernie, you want to try number 4 here? I think you'll get it.
Yep, sure.
1956 is the year.
Not that old.
Red has to get creative and send Ed McCauley and Cliff Higgins to St. Louis for the number 2 pick, but he knows the team that owns the number 1 pick is going to spend it on Bill Russell. That's who he's got his eyes on. So he then gets Walter Brown, the owner of the team, to promise to send the Ice Capades to this team's arena for 3 to 4 days for a highly lucrative multi-day booking of their ice show. Syracuse Nationals, Fort Wayne Pistons, Philadelphia Warriors, Rochester Royals.
Oh, boy.
Really?
No.
Rochester.
Okay.
The Royals, who were out of Rochester the following year because they didn't pick Bill Russell.
Oh, man. Talk about swindling people.
Yeah. He had a couple there between the Ice Capades for Bill Russell and getting the Chief and Kevin McHale for a couple of firsts.
It was Joe Barry Carroll was the draft pick that Golden State took. He was okay. He was good, but he wasn't the chief and McHale.
No. A couple future Hall of Famers right there picked up by Red. Drive On. We'll be coming back next week for double the prizes now. Everything rolls over except for the UMaine football tickets. Those stay at a pair of season tickets. We got to take a time out because Dan Shaughnessy coming up on the other side of the break to talk Celtics and all things Boston sports. That last bit, certainly not something Celtic fans want to hear. John Corrales making an appearance on yesterday's show, talking about the optionality ahead of the 26-27 season. That was the buzzword coming out of the Celtics press conference on Monday. We're going to discuss the Jaylen Brown trade, the offseason moves, and what is to come from all of it with Dan Shaughnessy of the Boston Globe. Dan, let's just start right there. Have you been able to make sense of this trade yet since it went down?
Oh, hell no, and that didn't help there. I mean, I appreciate John's knowledge, and, my head's exploding. I don't know if anybody was following that, but no, thank you. I mean, I understand it's the reality, the NBA today, and the way it's structured, and whatever the last CBA is, this is where we are. But I have no interest in those discussions, so you're not going to get me in a deep dive of optionality. No, thank you. It's like all I know is they traded their best player last year. Guy's been here 10 years. They got zip in return, and not interested in draft picks from kids that are in junior high school now, et cetera, and just the machinations of that. So, I think it's a very unappetizing outcome for the fans. And I push back on the campaign I wasn't even a Jaylen Brown guy, but this notion that he wasn't a very good player and they're better without him is just nonsense. I'm not, he averaged 28 points a game last year. They won 56 games. He was the go-to guy. I know he kicks it off his knee. I know he doesn't make his free throws at the end. I know he's not a great off-ball defender, but whatever. But no thanks to the narrative on this thing. It's a very, and Steven said it himself, very unpopular trade for the fans. And maybe 3 or 4 years from now, it'll bear out. This was a great thing. I'm not buying it, and I'm not interested in waiting.
Where are you generally on the use of analytics in terms of roster development?
Big time, no. Give me scouts, give me what your eyeballs tell you. I mean, again, it's the old guy, young guy thing. I get that, but people who never played and are telling us what our eyes aren't telling us, no thanks. And I've seen how it's really hurt baseball. I mean, the Yankees just struck out 17 times in 2 consecutive games, back-to-back games. They won one of them.
Yeah.
And I looked up. Yogi Berra struck out 20 times in 640 plate appearances in 1950. So, I know it's old guy stuff, whatever, but that's not an improvement in the way the game is played and the experience for fans watching the game. So, nope, not about it. I understand the value, and it's always good to have information. That's good, but Stevens intentionally diminished the importance of that, and I'm sure not to the pleasure of his analytics department, but he said a very small percentage of that. Who knows if he's telling the truth? I don't know. But, this thing, I just feel like the way the league is structured, and, they don't want good teams to stay good. They want parity. This is throughout sports. So it's structured to drive you down and to make you get rid of a good player, and that's what they did.
How about the reasoning that Brad Stevens gave as to why the trade had to be made, trying to get ahead of the new structuring that you're talking about in the NBA with the CBA and having 2 players make 70% of the cap? Whether you agree with that being the right thing or not, can you agree with his reasoning there?
I guess. I'm not going to dispute that. He's a smart guy, and I don't think he's blowing smoke at us there. I think they can't come out and say, we have to get worse to get better, which is what they're doing. And maybe they can, overcome that and not get worse next year. Maybe they can win 58 next year and go further in the playoffs. I don't know. But right now, I was not a big Brown fan. Like I said, I was okay breaking up the Jays. But when it was Giannis, 2 years of Giannis, that's different. I'll go all in for the next 2 years of Giannis and take a chance on that and, have a great little post game to go with Jason Tatum and what they already have. So, but Paul George, no thanks. Nice guy, former star, but that's let's not sell ourselves on that. And obviously, you're hearing that he'll be a piece that'll roll into the next thing and whatever. But I'm too old to be playing these kind of games, guys. So I'm not interested.
Yeah, you and me both. Just to talk a little bit about the financial ramifications of this deal, where they get out of a year of Jaylen Brown's contract, plus the fact that they don't have to deal with the potential extending of an extension to Brown worth, 2 years, $140, $150 million. And is that a reflection on the new ownership and how they're going to continue to do business?
I think they could probably make a case if they were talking here, and truthfully, they would say, hey, this is like, we can't do this, and it's not just about spending money. You start to lose draft picks when you go past the second apron, these kinds of things. It's like, they would say, these are basketball decisions because it affects our team in the future. So even though we're making decisions that make our team look worse, they are basketball decisions because it's protecting us from a collapse or having to, like, sell off pieces or lose draft picks, etc. So I really don't want to get into it. I mean, you're talking to the wrong guy. It's like, no, I believe it. I'm sure it's all real and true, but this is not why I get into becoming a sports writer. I'm just not interested in debating these things. Really, no thank you.
What's the reaction of the fan base and the city been like since kind of that press conference on Monday, where a lot of arrows have whizzed the direction of Bill Chisholm, saying that this kind of is ownership's doing, trying to dismantle what he took over from the Wick Group?
No, they came out up front, and Brad said we're not going to defend ourselves here, and Chisholm kind of did that a little bit, and he contradicted Brad a little bit by talking about how we'll do anything and blah blah blah. And I think it's kind of semantics that when you are the owner and you've got to face these things that are the penalties that you're going to see if you keep throwing all this money behind two guys, that won't ultimately be a good thing for your team. So I just look at talent going out the door and not talent coming in the door. And sorry to be so old school on you, but that's where I'm sticking.
How does this change Jason Tatum's place on the club? Obviously, he's been their best player. I guess you could make the argument that Brown was right there with him. But he's also been a team leader, and how much so, I have no idea. He doesn't come across as like a guy that is a verbal leader more than he plays, and he hasn't had to be because it seems like Brown has kind of been willing to take on a lot of that load. Is there more pressure on him going into the coming season in terms of now having to deliver in the aftermath of this trade?
I suppose, but you could also look at it the other way. I mean, in terms of, to me, they've basically given up on the Tatum window. I mean, they've said, we're not going to get better. And that was my one question to Brad repeatedly was, does this make you better next year? And it does not. Clearly, to me, it does not. And they have less talent than they had last week. When they acquired Mitchell Robinson and still had their team, I'm thinking, okay, little low post guy, 20 minutes a game, free throw issues, we got that, but rim protector both ends, and I'll live with that and get a little bit better with that guy, and gave him 3 years, bag of money. So that was a basketball decision, a basketball move, and I enjoy those kinds of things. This is another level, but to me, they basically said the Tatum window's over, and we're going to go on to the next thing. So I think they've just wasted the last years of his time here. And, a year from now we can talk again. You were wrong. Look how much better they got and figured it out, because they have good management and they've done great drafting and developing with the younger guys that you don't see for a year or two. And maybe that'll pay dividends when, Shireman and Gonzalez and those guys step up. So hopefully they can do that.
Is there any worry from you, Dan, that this might have an adverse effect on the relationship between Tatum and the Celtics? Because if you're Jason Tatum, you have to look at this with everything you just said, and you're now fielding a team that is worse than you stepped off the court with last year. If you're a guy thinking about trying to maximize your own championship window, is the team doing that for him?
Well, it's his team, clearly, and, we can get into, to me, they lost the wingman, who was a really talented guy, and we don't know the dynamics of those two. Everyone's guessing, Real Housewives of the NBA, et cetera. So I don't know. But to me, he loves the coach. I think he likes Paul George. He likes the guys who are here, and it's his team. But it's just not going to be as good a team, in my view. And hopefully I'll be wrong about that.
Would you consider the Tatum-Brown era a success story about what people should have expected, or a bit of an underachievement with just the one championship?
I would go with the latter. Yeah, one's not enough for that group. They got to another finals, and they got to the conference finals, and a lot of playoff runs. But they were eliminated by lesser teams 3 or 4 times, and that's not good. and we saw it repeatedly. So that's the flaw in the thing to me. And we went through this with Garnett, Allen, and Pierce. They only got one. They got to another Game 7 with the Lakers, and then Danny blew up the team with the trade of Perkins that year in 13, I think. But you always want to get more out of that. I mean, the Bird guys got 3. Even back to Cowens, Havlicek, White, they got 2, and of course Russell got 11. So our standards are high here, but I thought more than one would have been better.
He's Dan Shaughnessy of the Boston Globe talking the Jaylen Brown trade. Dan, before we let you go, I noticed the other day on social media someone called you out for having a VCR in the background of a picture. I'm curious, how often do you use that thing in 2026? Because I knew what it was, but some people clearly didn't know what they were looking at.
They're all just jealous. I still got those old funky VHS cassettes, and I can throw stuff in there, and I can go watch Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, or my kids playing, college baseball, whatever. I got the cassettes and not letting them go, and you can all laugh at me, and that's okay because it's an easier way for me to access some of these things. But I know it's all there on the internet, but I still like those things. And I wrote about it years ago that I had nothing. I was clearing out my office and trying to thin things out during the pandemic, and got nothing to do with these VHS clunky cassettes. And then people said, "Oh, I could sell you a player." I'm like, "Okay, $100, bring it on." So going the wrong way, bringing stuff into the house instead of getting rid of stuff. So that's what happens when you're old.
And lastly, for me, just a quick thought: the Red Sox are on a roll. They've won 9 out of 11, 4 in a row, and are only 4 games out of the playoffs. What do you think?
Well, I mean, that's all true. And you got 9 out of 11 is 9 out of 11. That's great, good for them. But I don't take the cheese on 4 games out of the playoffs. Come on, 6 out of 15 make it, and there's 4 or 5 or 6 teams between you and the third wild card. They don't all lose the same day. You got to do better than be 600, 500 on July 8th. So you don't deserve to be talking about it, and I'm not giving any credence to it. Sorry.
Yeah, we're talking to the man that coined the term the illusion of contention. So I don't think 7 under here in the middle of the summer is getting it done. Dan, we appreciate the time you take for us. Have a great one.
Thanks, guys.
Dan Shaughnessy joining us right there from the Boston Globe on the Heroes Hotline. The Drive is brought to you in part by your local family-owned McDonald's, available when ordering McDelivery through Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub. 2 sausage McMuffins with egg, 2 hotcakes, 4 hash browns, and 4 small hot coffees. All for just $19.99. That's a bundle deal worth over 40% off. We're also brought to you by Goslin's Bakery, 334 Hollow Street in Bangor. You can grab a breakfast sandwich or an English muffin or croissant, plus a legendary donut and pastries. They've been making them since 1945. Visit the new Goslin's Bakery and Deli next to Hannaford in Brewer when you're on this side of the river. Dan sounds as confused by it as we do.
He's consistent, though. I mean, he's definitely consistent about that. And it's kind of the old school beliefs that I share for the most part. And it's funny, you talked about what did you talk about, VCRs?
Yeah.
Like I'm in the process of trying to buy a car now because I keep hitting deer with my cars, and cars don't survive. Deers don't either, apparently. But trying to find one with a CD player in it.
Really?
Yeah. Anything that's remotely close to new in terms of
I was going to say, is
that
an ancient tech now in cars?
Apparently. They have, this stuff I don't even know because most of this computer stuff, 99% of it's all on a need-to-know basis.
Yeah.
And I haven't needed to know about...
haven't had to get into the Bluetooth world yet.
Bluetooth and all this hotspot stuff.
Aux cords and everything you got to do.
Don't have a clue. But anybody knows about a good car with a CD player in it, let me know.
Let them know. 992-9029. That will do it for us here. We got to come back with buzzer beaters. Before we get there, though, you are owed a sports center and a weather forecast. We'll get you that now. Buzzer beaters in just a moment. First, I got to tell you about Dairy Queen in Bangor. Try the new DQ Breakfast Collection. You can enjoy a Cinnamon Toast Crunch Dip Cone, Fruity Pebbles Shake, or Choco Frosted Donut Blizzard Treat. Whether it's breakfast time or not, at 668 Broadway in Bangor. And in Old Town, try the DQ $7 Chicken Strip Meal Deal. It's got it all. 100% white meat seasoned chicken strips, a full-size fry, a drink, and a DQ sundae, all for just $7. Find that store at 613 Stillwater Avenue in Old Town. Ernie, what do you got?
Well, a loss for UMaine baseball, according to the Bangor Daily News. Troy Carpenter, who led the America East with 16 home runs last year and also was second in the conference in RBIs with 53, transferring from Maine to Coastal Carolina. And he's from Georgia, Kathleen, Georgia. That's an interesting name for a town. But presumably he's a lot closer to home now than he was when he was up here last year, but certainly came up after attending IMG Academy and played a big role for the Black Bears last spring, and now he's moving on. So that'll be another hole to fill for Nick Derber.
Yeah, big hole in the middle of the lineup to fill. A guy who got off to a really hot start to the season, and like you said, all those homers and RBI now out of the 3-hole, 4-hole for the Black Bears there. That will do it for today's show. We will be back tomorrow. The Red Sox play at 2:10, however, that series finale in Chicago. So however much time they leave for us after that, Aaron and I will be here to fill with you until 6. Don't forget about the roast starting at 6 a.m.